Hey everyone, my name is Chloe, and today I'm here to tell you about all the books that I read last week, and it was a big week. I don't know how or why. I'm still trying to figure out the whole middle of the night situation, and I'm one of those people that if I wake up for any reason, I'm up for like ever, and so I think that is going, I don't know, we're trying to figure it out. Me and the baby are trying to figure out how to get more sleep, but this week was not the week for that. We also had strep throat, I think was this week. It was still lingering in our house this week, so sleep was not high. Book reading was. So let's get into it. The first three are middle grades that I read with my girls. So Kingdom of Kind, this is by Jenny Phillips. This is a part of the third grade curriculum. I talked about Timothy and the 10th floor or whatever. This one is a fantasy about this guy who is the prince of the Kingdom of Kind, and he's a real snot, and he goes on this journey to find happiness and finds kindness, and the whole moral of the story is that happiness is found by service, gratitude, and oh my gosh, watch me forget the last thing. Service, gratitude, and work. Service, gratitude, and work. So those are the keys to happiness. That's what he found out, and there's a whole bunch more into it. We didn't love this one as much, but I'm not a fantasy reader, and apparently neither are my girls. And so this one, it just got a little repetitive, a little dull, and the character switch from nasty guy to kind guy happened really like abruptly, and so I don't know. This was just okay. Then we've got Who is Travis Kelce? You guys, we are hardcore Chiefs fans in this house. Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, can't go anywhere without seeing him. So we read this, and I personally listen to their podcast and seem to know a fair amount about Travis Kelce somehow, just because, again, we live in Kansas City. You can't help but not. But this book was just a really short, cute introduction to him and how he was kind of an ornery kid and got into some stuff. These who is and what were and all that kind of stuff. I would say my daughter my 6-year-old daughter has been reading them off of our shelf, and I'm kind of going to have her stop because in this one they talk about marijuana usage, and she's reading Taylor Swift because we have that one too, and they're talking about like eating disorder stuff, and these are kind of heavy, so I would say save these for a little bit older, but they are still fun to look at. So there's that. Then last, I hated this book, Socks by Beverly Cleary. So I would say I love Beverly Cleary. However, I read the entire Ramona series as a kid multiple times, and I have not read it as an adult for multiple reasons. But one, I've heard that like Ramona is just awful. And so reading that, like I don't want my memory to be tarnished, but this one was terrible. So this is about a cat named Socks, and his parents have a baby. They bring home a baby, and Socks is, pushed down on the totem pole, and he is struggling with that. Okay, so that makes sense, and that is interesting. It's told from Socks's perspective. However, this again, one of the mothers, like the mother-in-law or whatever, comments on how fat Socks is getting, and they literally starve the cat. Like they give him barely anything to eat, and there's so much commentary on him being fat and and like he's like trying to sneak food and stuff that's like, oh my goodness, this is awful. The fat phobia in this book is awful. And so, yes, the point of him being jealous of the baby and then like coming to terms with it and that kind of stuff is sweet, I guess. I don't know. Like that message is fine, but the fat phobia and his size and weight is so much more a part of this book that I hated it. So that I would not suggest, and I'm like nervous about reading other old school Beverly Clearys now, but there's that. So those are the middle grade that I read. Now let's get into the adult books. So first I read The Boy Who Was Raised a Dog. This is for NonFiction November, and Other Stories from a Child Psychiatrist's Notebook. This is by Bruce Perry, and Bruce Perry is a child psychologist who has a very conversational tone, and I've read other things by him. He did a collab book with Oprah, and I can't remember what it was called, but so this book is interesting. This has been revised multiple times, and so I'm not sure. I listened to it as opposed to reading it, so I'm not sure how updated the one I listened to was. However, this was it was fascinating in the sense that it talks a lot about brain development and just like physiological differences between those who have experienced trauma and those who have not, and how that trauma can manifest and what we can do about it now. and how we can prevent that kind of stuff. And so I loved that. That being said, these are stories of children who are like severely traumatized from different things. And so it's really heavy. It's really heavy. And the other thing that I did not love about this book is he does not use person first language. So instead of saying a person with autism, he says autistic person. And he also says normal kids or normal people a lot, whereas like these people with mental health issues are not normal. And I really hated that. And so so that's why I kind of wonder if I listen to an outdated version, because I think in 2024 we know to be a little more sensitive to that, but maybe not. And so I was fascinated by parts of this, annoyed by parts of it, and I will not read it again. But it was an interesting look into human nature. So there's that. Then 4th of July by James Patterson. This one I read for my November book haul revisit, so I won't go too much in depth in this, but I really wanted this book to be like my deciding factor, because I bought the first 6. This is in the Women's Murder Club series. I bought the first 6, and I loved the first one, hated number 2. Well, hated number 2, thought number 3 was okay. This one was better than okay. I would give it 3.5 stars. So the premise of the series is that we follow 4 women, all who are working in criminal events. And so one's like a medical examiner, one's a lawyer, one's a reporter, and one works, she's a private investigator or a cop or something, and a detective of some sort. And so we follow those 4 women. They kind of form a friendship working together on multiple cases, and each book is a different case. So the book, the series, has both women's fiction elements as we follow their personal lives and their friendships and all of that, as well as, each time they're solving at least one different case. And so I don't like the books that are super heavy just in the cases and underground seediness, but I do like the books that have like that women's fiction element. And I would say this one follows Lindsay, who is our cop, and she is involved in a situation in which she shoots a child, and her reason behind that is valid and is part of her job and whatever, but police brutality is brought into it, and she had been out with friends having drinks before, so she had a little bit of alcohol in her system. So there is a court case about trying to get her out of the police force, and so that is the meat and the potatoes of this story. There's also a serial killer who is kind of just been haunting her, not like literally, but who has been in the back of her mind for a long time. And so she's trying to figure out that. And so I enjoyed this. And now it made it really hard to make the decision on if I continue with the series or not. I think at this point I'm going to say yes. I'm going to continue with the series, keep the other 4 that I have on my shelf, and hope for the best. So there's that. Then we have the Magna Sisters, which is another book that I read for my November book haul revisit, and this I gave 3 stars. This is a romance about you are introduced to 3 sisters who run like a flower farm, and they're the 3 sisters. So one of them had a like high school boyfriend that we don't really know what happened, but he up and left her, and now he's getting married to this his social media influencer who has this uber wealthy family, etc. And they want the wedding to be at the flower farm. So they're coming into town. They're not going to do it, but we're following Harper, who is the sister that runs the farm. And the bride's brother is there. He's the one with all the money, trying to like convince her to let them have the wedding there. And so it's their romance. I don't know. It's enemies to lovers, not my favorite trope. And it's like, this is only 255 pages. And so I don't feel like we got enough like character development, relationship development, any of that. It just kind of was like, meh, that was a book I read. So whatever. Then I went on to read number 2 in the series because I had it on my shelf as well. This one follows the sister May, who was the one who was dating this guy years ago. And now it's hard to really talk about what is going on in this book without kind of spoiling part of the first one, but I ended up DNFing it because I thought May would be the character that I was most interested in, and her story is a first love, second chance, and so I thought I would be most interested in it, but it did what I hate in the first like 60 pages. It's hinting at this thing that happened that it's such a thing. She's constantly talking about the thing that happens. The whole plot revolves around the thing that happens because it's the reason they broke up for the first time, and we as a reader don't know what it is, and it's talked about so much that I'm like, just tell us, because we can assume assume, but yeah, I just didn't feel invested. I was rolling my eyes, and like I would do anything to not pick this up, which for me is like, okay, well, time to let her go. I read, like I said, I read over 60 pages, and you do get alternating point of views between him and her. I was not into it, so there's that. Then a 2-star read, Sunday Kind of Love by Dorothy Garlick. So this is set in the 50s, and so I was going to read it for Historathon, but it's really just about a love triangle between our main character and a guy who's perfect on paper but kind of a jerk, and her parents approve of him. He's from money, etc. And then this other guy who is a blue-collar worker and has this reputation in the town because he was the one who killed his brother in a drunk driving accident, and so he's kind of the bad boy. It's a love triangle between them. However, it's not a love triangle because we know, like, the bad boy, we know his secrets and like his heart really early on, so we know who we want to be with her. And I mean, this is like 360 pages of just blah. So 2 stars, didn't love that either. Then let's just keep on keeping on. We've got The Night We Lost Him by Laura Dave. So this one is a new release, obviously, from Book of the Month. And I have liked Laura Dave in the past. I liked her contemporary a lot, and some of her more dramas, whatever. I like these too. But this one, I've seen such mixed reviews. People either love it or they really hate it. And I would say I'm in the middle. I would give this probably a 3 star. So this is about siblings who are trying to figure out what happened to their dad. So he was pushed or fell off a cliff at his house, and he died. Okay. And so the cops aren't really looking into it. And despite the fact that he was pushed, I guess. And so like we know from the beginning, I think that it was pushed, and he has a lot of ex-wives, a lot of money, that kind of stuff. So we're trying to figure out what happened. And the whole book is just the siblings trying to figure out what happened. There's not a lot of plot. It's very slow. And like my reading experience of this was not the best, but then I ended it and I was like, okay, that was kind of cozy. So you kind of settle in with these 2 siblings who are kind of estranged, and you try to figure out what happened to their dad. So yeah, I thought it was fine. I'm going to keep it on my shelves. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a slow read. So if you don't want a slow moving plot, move on. And yeah, this one was fine for me. Then we've got another one, like The Aviator's Wife by Melanie Benjamin. So this is for Historathon, and this is a book about Charles and Anne Lindbergh. So I've read a fair amount about them because of the Lindbergh baby and the kidnapping and all of that happened. If you don't know about it, definitely look into it because there's a fascinating thing that happened. But Charles Lindbergh was a very famous, well-loved, notorious, well, not even notorious, but just famous and well-loved guy, working in aviation, of course. And he was the first to have a solo flight across the Atlantic, and it was in 1927, whatever. He is set to meet these 2 sisters, and he's kind of like betrothed in a way, but not really. He's expected to marry the other sister, and he ends up getting in a relationship with Anne. And so we follow their relationship from the time that they meet and start courting and whatever, all the way through the end of their lives and marriage. And so, okay, what do I say about this? Because it's really, her writing style is great. I like it a lot. Charles Lindbergh is an awful, awful person. Like, in this book, he is portrayed as such a terrible man. And she is not that great either. And so, like, she starts, not that she's, like, an awful person, but she starts very meek, very submissive, finds her voice later, but it's not in a, like, woohoo way. And they end up having 6 kids, I think, and it's just their story from start to finish. And some of it is factual, some of it is definitely has some artistic liberties taken, and like the unlikableness of both of the characters, but especially Charles, made this kind of a, like, gosh, just yuck, you know? And so this is a 3 star for me. Again, I'm really interested in them as a couple, and because she became a name in aviation too, but she's known as the Aviator's Wife, and just the feminism, the gender stereotypes and things that happened at that time. And so it was really interesting, but also just a really toxic relationship that got old quick. So there's that. Then What Happens in Paradise by Ellen Hildebrand. So this is number 2 to her Winter in Paradise, which I read for my November book haul revisit. And I immediately wanted to pick up the rest of the trilogy. And so I finally did. What Happens in Paradise is number 2. It follows directly from number 1. So it's really hard to say anything about it. I will say I like number 1 better, but this one was good. I am loving being with the characters. And this feels somewhat reminiscent to the Winter Street series, which I loved. So some of the books aren't as great as others. Like this one is not, it doesn't have the excitingness quite as much. I mean, it is still exciting, but I would say this one's 3.5 stars. I'm really liking being with these characters. Then last, I believe, we have Dear Santa by Debbie McComber. And this one is almost a 5-star. Like, it is just so cute, so cozy. It's not a 5-star because I definitely won't remember it forever, but for the Christmas vibes, this is good. So this is about a girl named Lindy. And she is going home for 2 weeks from like Christmas to New Year's and around there. And she is excited about it because she just got broken up. Well, her and her boyfriend just broke up because he was cheating with her best friend. And so she's lost her best friend. She's lost her boyfriend, all the things. And so she goes home and she's there with her mom and her stepdad and her brother and her brother's family. And it's just so cozy. Like, this has all the Christmas vibes. It describes them going to church on Christmas. I mean, not like in depth. It's not a Christian fiction, but like it describes the holidays, like just everything they're doing for the holidays. You really feel like you are with this family over the holidays. And she's got a great relationship with her nephew who's cute. And like, I love it. And she's got a romance in this book, too, that I thought was just so cute and so cozy and, oh, just charming. I really like this book. Some Debbies are really hit and miss. I loved Merry and Bright, and I love this one. Some of her others are a little too cheesy, but this one just felt like exactly what you would want with like a Stars Hollow Christmas, and it felt just like that, so I would definitely recommend. So, that is everything that I read. Yeah, that's everything I read in this last week. It was a lot, and I don't really know how, but it was a great week. A lot of meh reads, but a lot of things that I can move off my shelves and take care of. So because this week I also am going to film right now a book haul because I went to the library book sale. I was feeling so good about like taking down my owned books, and then I went to the library book sale. So stay tuned for that video because now it's right back up there and I'm still motivated to like chuck it down. So there we go. I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day, night, whenever you're watching this, and we'll see you soon.